Auburn quarterback Cam Newton is the overwhelming favorite here. In fact, it would be a shocker if anybody else won at this point. I think even with the scandal and the NCAA investigation, all that's probably done is maybe narrowed the margin to where it might not be a record-setting landslide for Newton. It might just be more of your routine landslide. The other candidates, and there are some good other contenders out there. Oregon running back LaMichael James leads the nation in rushing and is tied for the country's lead in touchdowns. Kellen, the Boise State quarterback, is one of the most accurate passers in the country. He's had a tremendous year leading a team that made a good run at the national championship. And Andrew Luck from Stanford is probably the best pro prospect of this crew. He's had a tremendous year for Stanford. The Cardinal have been 11-1. He's more of a traditional NFL quarterback, really accurate, strong arm, but he can also move around a little bit. He's probably surprisingly athletic, in fact. He's got an arrest on his record. It was something that happened earlier in the year, and it's sort of been put to the side. The case was resolved. Generally speaking, he's a kid who's had a good reputation. He's come back to be an academic All-American. His coach speaks highly of him. You're going to find warts and flaws on a lot of players. Generally speaking, with LaMichael James, the overall consensus on him is he's not necessarily a terrible kid. He's a kid who made a terrible mistake. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of pushback against James. Oh, we're not going to vote for him because of what happened. If that's the case, I think the voters who take that stance probably aren't going to vote for James, probably aren't going to vote for Newton, will probably find their guy in either Moore or Andrew Luck. Thing is, I just don't think there's going to be enough voters who take that tact to make a great influence on this race. The interesting thing going into the Heisman, I think it's not whether Newton will win. I think the most interesting question is, will his father be there at the ceremony? Cecil Newton, who was accused of peddling his son around for cash, specifically to Mississippi State. Now, Cam Newton was cleared and remained eligible to play for Auburn because the NCAA ruled that Cam didn't know about what his father was doing, and Auburn didn't know about what his father was doing. And there's no evidence that says that Auburn was asked to pay for Cam Newton's services. But Cecil Newton, in the NCAA's ruling, was told to sort of stay away from the Auburn program. But it's unclear exactly what that means. Cam Newton, this is his father, and the Heisman is not an Auburn event. So it'll be interesting to see if Cecil Newton is in the audience sitting behind Cam, if he gets a big hug after Cam wins the award. It's also going to be interesting to see what Cam says after he is presented the trophy. He's going to have to answer at least a few questions. He's been in a controlled setting. He said he's not going to talk about the investigation and things along those lines at his father, but it's inevitable if he's in front of reporters that a question could be asked. So I think the intrigue is more about what Newton will say, whether his father will show up, than who will actually win this award.